I'm recording it. I'm going to shut off my video as well. So you have your microphone muted. We can't hear you.
Okay, one, two,
Much
three.
better. Yeah, but much better.
Okay, can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm using my work headset and my Android phone for this.
Yeah, the good thing is that I have I have like a very expensive microphone because of all of the YouTube stuff. All of the gear that I didn't have to buy it for the YouTube stuff, but it definitely makes it better and I can use it for creating courses as well. It's very useful.
Yeah, I mean, good gear is pretty useful in any point. I know this because yeah, I ride my motorcycle in my spare time whenever the weather allows it, and yeah, I've seen that buying some good helmet, a good helmet and some good motorcycle gear helps a lot, because if you have an issue and you crash, it saves your ass. So it's the same thing. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. And you also, like you say, you start taking a lot better care of the stuff that you actually work for. To be honest, this may sound strange, but I freaking hate free stuff because free stuff. I noticed that I give a lot of these coaching sessions for free as well, and people will half of the time not even show up, which is really bothersome, you know. You reserve an hour of your time and people will not even show up.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, because I've heard some wise people saying that the most precious and valuable thing you have in your life is your time. And yeah, okay, I sometimes get late, or often get late. I apologize to all of the people who I've done wrong, including my friend in the other room, because I'm always appearing, showing up late when I have to meet him. But yeah, no, not showing up at all is, come on, man. I mean, and yeah, you're doing a lot of things, and you're committing a lot of effort for the community. And yeah, I don't know why people don't appreciate things, but just as you say, if it's free, people take it for granted, unfortunately. But even with the free stuff, you have to put your time in. I mean, Linux is free, sort of. It's not quite free, because to be able to use it and understand it properly, you do have to invest a lot of time and effort. So nothing in life comes really free, to say so.
And like even Linux, if you think about Linux, how many people really configure and appreciate what Linux is about? Like a lot of people will use Linux because it's free. It's as simple as that. Like you can also get Windows, but Windows is a paid version, and a lot of people will just use Linux. Like especially for servers, for example, a lot of people are just gonna grab back to Linux and work with that, which is really good in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. But Linux is open source. There's a lot more to it than just having a free server, you know. But yeah, that's just my opinion. People don't really know what they're doing anymore with things like RAM memory as well. If you think about programmers, for example, a lot of the programmers work very inefficiently than I know, because they
Yeah.
take up a lot of RAM memory, they take up a lot of CPU time. Well, it's not always necessary, and it can be pretty disastrous if you think about scaling your application to the tens of thousands of users, you know.
Yeah, but this is the modus operandi nowadays. I mean, I'm not a programmer. I'm not a specialist by any
By the
stretch of the
way, sorry to
imagination.
interrupt
Yep.
you. I don't know if you can move a little bit further from your microphone, but we keep hearing you breathing very loud.
Oh, sorry about that. Is this
Not a
better?
problem. Much better.
Okay, sorry. I was actually almost swallowing the microphone. Yeah, what I wanted to say is that it was too close to the mouth. Thank you. yeah, what I wanted to say is that this is best seen out of all the fields in the gaming, because yeah, in my spare time I also play some games, and I've seen that lately the amounts of RAM and the lack of optimization is staggering, as you say, because if you want to play Cyberpunk, you need a really monster PC to be able to play that in a higher than full HD resolution, not to mention 4K or something like that. Or from what I've heard, Flight Simulator from Microsoft, you need an absolute beast of a PC, and even then it's not enough. I mean, no one bothers with these things anymore. And yeah, since we have a ton of resources, yeah, we don't appreciate this anymore. And this is the case also here, I think, because if you take a look at what free stuff exists on the web, yeah, nobody appreciates things anymore unless you force them to pay somehow for this. And yeah.
Yeah, and we were talking
Go.
about automation a while ago. Like a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
people don't, in my opinion, they start hacking, they open up their tools, and that's the first thing they will do is run this scan and run that scan and blah blah blah. I take the time to explore my target and actually go looking for what it is, go looking for manuals. I try to explore it, RTFM.
Yeah, and that's a great advice to read read the fucking manuals, because yeah, I had some situations like this even at work, when it wasn't always my fault that you actually don't have time anymore, because everyone expects you, sorry for my English today, expects you to be just producing some results and so on. But yeah, in this field, I suppose things are not quite as hectic if you want to do uh, bug bounties and ethical hacking. I don't think that people expect you to do wonders and produce miracles from 1 minute to another, as they do in production environments, because then yeah, you have a limited time frame usually to raise an interface which is down and so on, make things work and fix stuff, troubleshoot it. But here you have a little bit more time, right, with the bug bounties to be able to find out something. Or maybe you're just limited by the amount of people which are trying to do the very same things at the same time.
So
Yeah. And
So for me in bug bounties, what's really important to realize is that yes, we all have this basis that we're testing for. We're all testing for the same basic vulnerabilities, cross-site scripting, XMPP, SFRF. We're all testing for those things, but it's about how creative you can test for them and what parameters you can look for that you can associate with vulnerability types. Like for example, I was testing an application and I was reading the manual, but the manual was not that easy to find. You had to go to Google, you had to look it up. And then the manual, it said you cannot deactivate super admin users. So that's the first thing I tried, and that gave me 125 euros. And then of course you also have the one time I was testing a website and I was testing it very deeply, very deep in the functionality. You had to go from this into this functionality and then you had to click through to this functionality. It was like 4 or 5 levels deep, and nobody tested cross-site scripting there yet. And I was testing it, and what do you know? I get my first cross-site scripting worth 700 euros. Insane. Um, yeah, um, definitely a little bit. By the way, you're muted. And definitely creative.
okay, sorry.
Oh, it's not a problem. I muted you. Sorry. The breathing was a little bit too
Um,
loud. My bad.
okay,
So
let me get the
But
microphone further. How did you start? After doing the courses and learning the basic stuff, did you do something like I don't know, is there a way of trying things like on Try Hack Me, where let's say you have a testing field or a testing environment like they do over there. You have an intentionally vulnerable app or an intentionally vulnerable system like an unpatched Windows 7 to if I can use this analogy, and which you have to try to hack, and the same thing for same things for bug bounties, or it just started directly. I don't know, it's like someone throwing you into the water and expecting you to swim. Just go there, find one of these sites which are paying you to try and find some stuff to hack, and you try it directly on some real life
well, I'm the kind of guy, if you throw me in front of the wolves, I will become the leader of the pack. And I will jump in front of the wolves because I want to learn by experience, and I can only learn by diving in really deeply and feeling hard and feeling fast and looking up everything that I didn't know, every single thing. Like if it said something I didn't know, then I would start looking it up. Okay, that's how I hack it. I would try it. And it's like you get a real, for me, the learning platform and the practice platform was the real life target. Right now, there is Sean Z. Shano. He has a platform which is bugbountyhunter.com, a really good platform that has a lot of vulnerabilities in them, but you pay for access, of course. And then you actually report your vulnerabilities and they triage them, and that will help you write better reports and all of that stuff. And then I'm also, because what the biggest problem with all of these practice websites is that you're learning a mentality that you're actually looking for a vulnerability. I'm looking for this because it's almost like a naked lab, almost no functionality in there and one exploit or one type of exploit. But that's not how a real target works. Like first thing you need to do if you want to get into bug bounties is get used to insecurity and feeling like you don't know what you're doing. It's gonna be very often that that you feel like you don't know what you're doing, but it's very important that you rely back to your notes, that you rely back on your bravery, because there's gonna be some days that you don't feel like hacking at all. You shouldn't be hacking on those days. You should be relaxing. It's important to take care of your mind as well as your body, and not just every day, all day, because that's not healthy for your mind. You have to go outside, you have to breathe a bit of fresh air. That's very important.
Do you do, by the way, do you do any sports, or do you do something else like physical activity in your free time, or just walking and biking, and or you do, I don't know, some organized sport like you go and lift weights, or do stuff like that, or do something creative like, I don't know, painting or drawing, or playing music? Just asking if
I
it's not a
do.
too personal question.
Oh, definitely not. Like I used to do Sinmo Hapkido, which is martial arts, but
I know.
I broke my LJAS, so I can't do it anymore. Basically
Oh.
my whole body hurts all day, every day. So my hobby, my current hobby is going to theme parks, fireworks, and hacking. Those are my hobbies. Um,
Yeah,
and
I
I,
think martial arts are good also for your mind.
yeah, and
I
like
do them.
swimming, I like swimming as well, and jogging. Jogging is also really cool because there's a lot of theory that goes into jogging. It's not just walking. You have to have the right heartbeat. You have different heartbeats for different purposes. It's very interesting.
Never considered that as a I used to train for my high school finishing exam because I took sports as one of the disciplines. But yeah, now I do some martial arts myself. I'm into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and yeah, it's human chess. But of course, I've managed to f up my body's functions, shoulder, uh, injured and cervical spine, you know injuries and so on because yeah, it's a contact sport. But yeah, whatever you do in the end, it will have consequences, especially martial arts. But how do you keep on going? What motivates you? Because it's not just the money. Because I've heard a lot of people who are going to do some stuff for the money, and then when they see the effort, the colossal effort which they need to do, they quit. Because you can't do this thing, or this is at least what I think. You can't do this only because you like money. You have to do this because you love the grind, if I may say so.
I love puzzles. That's the thing. I love puzzles, and that's why I love throwing myself in front of the lions and figuring stuff out while I go. Everything I see as a puzzle to me, and then that's the cool part because then, first of all, I don't pressure myself to learn something in a certain time frame, and second of all, it's just for fun. Everything that I do now is for fun. Like you say, I don't do it for the money. I have my day job, which I do for the money. This is my hobby. This is what I do for fun. So it's important for me to separate those two as well. Like I do 8 hours for my day job, then I play with my kid for a couple of hours before she goes to bed. And then I start hacking until God knows how late, like 2, 3, 4 a.m. Um, I know it's not
Yeah,
good, but it's the only time I have when you have a kid, you have to take
yeah,
advantage of the late hours.
yeah. I feel the same, and I think a lot of us do the same. I was under the impression that you do this as, you know professionally, to say so, just as a main as a main course. And
Or
have you considered, I don't know,
I do it.
creating your own company? Sorry, go ahead.
I have my own company as well, by the way. I have my day job and I have my own company as well. And I do this professionally. I do professional pen testing, and like bounties, of course, but that's not a lot. And then, of course, create new courses as well. That's all for the company. The company is the thexssrat.
Oh, okay.
And we are currently, there is somebody working for me who does things like create my thumbnails, create quizzes. And then I also have somebody working for me who does pen testing with me, but that's an independent contractor. And
Oh, okay.
recently, we've been getting a lot of requests for pen testing, to be honest. Like at least one pen test a month has been popping up, but we don't have that kind of time. So we try to keep it at one pen test per month maximum. Uh,
Have you had any internships or considered that, a possibility to have in the future, to have someone who is willing to learn and so on, to
Definitely.
be a pen tester?
I have the person that is working with me right now is somebody that I've been training as a mentor. So I definitely, and I'm also training somebody else as a mentor. I definitely do that a lot because it teaches me a lot as well. It teaches me, it's like, the rubber ducky methodology,
Yep.
like that
The
for me.
Yep. Hmm.
It, it really works. And for me, like I said, there's two modes for me that I work in. I work in the mode where I want to learn new things really fast. And to learn things fast, you have to fail fast because failing is just experience. So I do what do? I start a lot of projects and I throw them, like I start a lot of different types of videos on YouTube and I see which videos do well. And I go further on that, sort of like how AI evolves through its many generations. That's sort of how I do my video making, my course making, and my pen testing as well. It's always evolving, and there's like every new customer gets a little bit of a different pen test. So,
So it's based off of what you're learning from the previous engagements. Yeah, I've seen that once you speaking of teaching other people and learning and so on, I've seen that, for example, this is the same in martial arts, because at one point you have to, I don't know, just be able to have a warm up with the class and everyone, and lead a warm up or try to explain a technique. Once you try to do something so that someone else is understanding it, or to try to explain something, and one of the people staying in front of you comes up with a question, that's challenging in itself, and it forces you to think a little bit out of the box, or to be able to better explain. And yeah, when teaching people, I think you learn just as much and when you're learning for yourself. So yeah, I'll keep that in mind, because I've
definitely.
seen, if you only do what someone else is teaching you, yeah, okay, you're repeating. And maybe in my case, I suffer from quite a bit of a lack of imagination. But if I have to explain to someone else, yeah, they come out with questions and they force you to think somehow, maybe out of the box a little bit.
Definitely that as well. That's also very important that your students come up with questions and you have to think outside of the box a little bit. And you also notice that your students in your classes, because I give live classes as well, you notice that some students are very fast in learning and some students are a little bit slower. And you have to keep both types of students engaged. That's not an easy task to do. It helps you, you have to understand what you're teaching very, very well. Otherwise, you will have some problems, because you have to, what I always do is I just make assignments that are a little bit tougher. Like I have easy assignments, medium assignments, and I try to have hard assignments as well. That way, if the students are done with the easier ones, they can move on to the harder ones. Um, and I think it's important that our current education system starts understanding that as well. It might be a little bit of a bold statement, but I think our current education system is failing for people like me who have ADHD and autism. I wasn't in school, which whenever I cared about a subject, I would get straight A's. And if I didn't care about a subject, I would almost fail that subject pretty much. And I would have to kick myself in the butt to actually get started on learning about that subject as well. Whereas now, whenever I'm doing ethical hacking, I don't have to push myself for anything except to stop in the middle of the night when it's 4 a.m. That's what I have to push myself.
Yeah, I think we're the ADHD generation, to be honest. And yeah, we are living in ADHD times. I don't know, maybe because of the way the information is presented to us and so on. I I recently had contact with some people from university here in Timisoara, and maybe, I don't know, maybe you can consider, if I'm not asking too much, that you use sometime in the future. I will talk to the teachers then, and maybe you will find time to have a Zoom meetings for half an hour with the people there. I think it would be extremely motivational for them to to speak to a real life hacker, in more or less in flesh and bones, to say so, via Zoom meeting or Google meeting. So I don't know, if you tell them these things and then they hear them from you, it's much better than hearing them from a teacher, because it's one thing to hear them from someone who's doing this uh and has the
Yeah,
company like
definitely.
yourself,
It
then
wouldn't
just
be not a
yeah.
problem. Would be my honor to have you to do that. So whenever you feel like it, whenever you guys are up to it, feel free to hit me up. Anybody, if you want to, info@thexssrat.com. Just hit me up and we can work something out. Like,
Just let me type this.
by the way,
uh
I think there's like a beep sound coming from your computer. I think you're accidentally touching a key or something.
uh I shouldn't. Let me shut down the tablet. Sorry about that annoying stuff.
Oh, it's okay.
uh okay, powering off, and I've yeah, my
Yeah, it seems to have resolved it.
okay. It's
Thank
off
you.
now, thank you.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no,
So
no
yeah,
issue.
it would be an honor. I think everybody who's listening, if you even if you don't know that much about hacking, just writing a blog about what you're learning is already very interesting for a lot of people. Like we talked a little bit about at the beginning about how there's too much information about certain stuff already, but for other people, they can't get enough of certain informations. And it's like I explain things in a certain way, you explain things in a certain way. And if you notice that not a lot of people are coming to your blogs, then maybe try switching it up. It's like I say, try a lot of things, try them fast, and if they fail, don't be afraid to cut them out. And this is some life advice I got from Tom Scott, a really cool guy. By the way, you should check him out on YouTube. He says that every project is equally likely to fail, whether you spend 1 minute on it or whether you spend 1,000 minutes on it. They're both likely to fail. It's just that the one that you spend 1,000 minutes on will be a lot more polished than the one that you spend quick 1 minute on. And that's what I've been living by. I've been just trying a lot of these small projects. And also for the vulnerable websites that I've been creating on website, for example, I try to keep the websites a bit smaller,
Yeah.
but still full of functionality. Like there's invoices, there's orders, you can create them, you can read them, you can update them, and you can delete them. That's still, and there's user authentication module, so it's still a bit realistic, but I try to keep it a little bit smaller because this website has an INI file, and in the INI file I can say which vulnerabilities should be active and how strict they should be filtered out. So it's just like a experiment that I'm building, and if there's a lot of interest for it, then of course I'm going to build it fully. But if there's no interest in it, then I shouldn't continue spending too much time on the things that won't give me a return on investment. And I'm not just
Yeah.
talking about money, of course, because I've built so many free labs that it's incredible. Like, and don't people tell me that the free labs don't cost me anything? That is not true because my VPS costs me $80 per month, and
Yeah.
that's times 12. So anybody who tells me the free labs are free for me, no, no, they're definitely not free.
Yeah, because you're not I don't know, some great names which I won't mention here, which have tons of resources and so on, because you're only one guy, or okay, with your colleague and so on, there are two or three guys at the most, right? And you're doing most of the stuff, and yeah, you can't afford to do anything for free. Sorry, is this meeting going to be available somewhere? Can I also get a copy, or the people are can hear this if it's not too much to ask? Because uh, there's a lot of information. There are tons of information which are very useful here, and yeah, which they can learn from.
I will definitely be putting this up on YouTube. I think the same thing as well. I think there's a lot of interesting things being said here. And I think you're a cool guy, so I really appreciate you talking to me. I wanted
No.
to
I
ask,
thank you. The
like,
honor is mine, definitely, because this is actually my first time in in real life when I'm talking to someone who is so involved with this industry and so advanced. Because each and every time I've communicated with someone in the field, it was either semi-officially, where when I got some courses, or just some very short tweets or Discord messages and so on. And yeah, I've seen that there are a lot of ways to communicate. And thank you also. I've joined also your Discord channel, and I've seen that nowadays there are a ton of ways with which you can reach the fellow members of the community. Although I'm just a mm, beginner and not even a good apprentice in this, I know that there are a lot of people which are passionate and willing to help. So yeah,
as
the thing
a
is that it's easy to get in touch with someone. Sorry, go ahead.
as a beginner, would you say that the field is open to new people, or would you say that that it could be more open?
It is. And although some people may seem a little bit obnoxious or arrogant, because they sometimes they make fun of you because they they got used to the hardships. If I can use this analogy, is like you're being a recruit and you're trying to learn the ways of the war, and they are professional soldiers, and you're asking how to use a gun, and they say, hey man, go ahead and use the gun, assemble, disassemble it, and start shooting at a target. And sometimes I try to be in their heads and to be in their skin, to be honest. And I do try to understand that maybe to them sometimes it may be a little obnoxious if a ton of people ask you the same question before they do their own research. So I would say that yes, people are fairly open and extremely willing to help. For example, as it is in your case, because you're a really nice person and willing to help everyone around to learn these things. But a lot of us as a beginner, I think, are causing some nasty attitudes because we don't put enough effort in this. In this day and age, everybody wants instant gratification, sorry, and it's not happening. In real life, you can't go ahead and lift 200 kilos from the ground up and be a great I don't know, weightlifter and so on. You need to put in the hours and the efforts. And I think that being a bug bounty hunter or an ethical hacker is the same thing. You need to go ahead and do your grind and trying to learn and do the stuff. And then after you've learned a little bit about the basics, then you can come and ask the guys in the field, hey, please help me out. Because I think you've met this attitude that sometimes the people ask you for the simplest things before they do a bit of effort to try to understand what's going on. And I think this may feel annoying to you, that myself or some other people are asking some really dumb questions even before they put in the effort. Because I'm positive that you've met someone who, let's say, came to you and said, hey man, I want to hack I don't know, my wife's Facebook account, or hack her phone to be able to read her SMS messages because I think she's cheating on me or stuff like that. And yeah, I think people like that are not constructive and helpful for you. But when you see that someone is trying to put in the effort and the hours to get somewhere and to have the knowledge, then you're uh, much more willing to help, and you know you're willing to put in also some effort to to meet halfway and to be dedicated to those
Yeah,
persons and so on.
it's like you
Yeah.
say, it just takes a lot of time. It takes a long, long time to get good at this kind of stuff because I say I got 30 vulnerabilities in 2 months, but what I'm actually saying is I got 30 vulnerabilities in at least 300 hours. Sorry, at least 500 hours, actually. I was hunting for 8 hours per day, every single day for weeks at a time. So people don't realize that it does take a lot of time and a lot of energy. But like you say, it's also a little bit confusing because you'll be like, okay, how much do I have to learn before I can start asking people, right? It's like, do I know enough to ask my question? And for me, what I always do is I try to think, okay, have I formulated my question to where I can understand what I am asking for? Because if like there's if it's too vague or if there's like not enough information, then I will not be able to understand what I'm asking, and they will not be able to understand either. So I just try that level, and I try to first of all not ask anybody specifically. I just try to ask people in general, and second of all, I try to whenever I ask, be as complete as possible with all of the information that I can, and have my question, even if it's a very long question, just have it with all of the information, things you've tried already that did not work, the error messages, and steps to reproduce it if possible. And then also the expected result and the actual result. Put those things in your question and you will be helped a lot easier and faster. It's also for your own good. You will be helped a lot easier. It will be a lot faster for everybody. But I also think that a lot of newer people coming into the field should be forgiven to a degree. Because when I was very new in this field, I made a lot of stupid mistakes and I made a lot of stupid reports. I was lucky because at a certain point, I was also invited to Integrity Flag channel, and there I could ask the triagers directly if I found something, if it was a real vulnerability or not, and how I should report it and all of those things. So that definitely helped me. But reporting those bad things also helped me because that was how I got my experience again. And asking the stupid questions, I know it can be annoying, but people would tell me that's a stupid question, and then I would try to rephrase it. So if you see somebody asking a stupid question, don't be afraid to tell them respectfully either. Like, hey, that question does not make a lot of sense. Can you please try to rephrase it or something like that?
Yeah, that's a great advice because I sometimes do stupid things myself or ask stupid questions, or people ask me stupid questions, although I'm not a specialist by any stretch of the imagination. I recently had a friend who asked me to help a little bit with his home network, and I said, okay, hey man, go buy a switch and connect it to to that port where the TV connector is also, and you should have a network connector and everything should be fine. And at the end, because I didn't ask him, are you sure you have a RJ45 connection in the wall? Yeah, he had to abandon the whole thing because guess what? The guys who built up his apartment didn't thought about having internet in one of the rooms, and in the end he went for a uh, Ethernet over power solution so that he doesn't have wires entangled in the in the house, because his wife would kill him for that. And if you don't ask the right questions, you can't do anything. And you're absolutely right. Being able to, but in my humble opinion, being able to ask the correct questions is just as important. And to be able to ask the correct questions, you need to have some strong basics, just like in anything in life. I've seen that if you have some knowledge about the subject, and you're able to see some basic stuff and to understand how things work, you're much more uh, mm, not just eager. You're 100% more have more chances to ask some correct questions and to ask some things which make sense, because if you don't know how to explain these things to yourself, you'll not be able to ask the correct questions without any strong foundation to say so. You won't be able to do anything, or you will just ask some silly questions, or get get uh, get muddy, and get frustrated and annoyed that you can't understand anything, and stop there. And I've seen that a lot of people are are just doing the same things over and over again without getting any results, because they don't have a real sense of progression. And what you mentioned is that taking notes is just as important. Yeah. uh, Now I came to realize that throughout the time I've learned tons of stuff, and I used some ways to note down what I wrote. And then later what I did was never to take even a peek at those notes, and that's just as bad as not taking notes at all. Yeah, I do know a guy which is able to mentally create a map of everything in his mind, but the guy is a genius. But for the rest of us, especially something like you or myself with ADHD, without taking a peek at your notes, it's nearly impossible to use the knowledge, or to get some valuable stuff from what you've previously learned, because you're only human and you have a limited attention span. And yeah, you can do this thing for hours and hours, and yeah, everyone sees the results, but nobody sees the effort and the grind behind it. Because it's like in Olympics, you see a gymnast doing very nice stuff on the rings or ice skating, or stuff like that, but they don't see you fall. They don't see you tripping. They don't see you trying and trying and trying again. And yeah, people should have a good notion about that, because just as you mentioned, yeah, they don't see the hundreds of hours or thousands of hours behind this, because basically you spend half of your day, or you know half of your life learning. This is how you got to where you are now. Not just saying that you're an ethical hacker, or ethical hacker, or bug bounty hunter on Udemy or YouTube, and poof, the results just came in. No, you had to understand what you're doing, and to put in a ton of effort, and yeah, to fall multiple times. Most of us are afraid to fall. Even I'm afraid to fall,
Yeah,
to
but
try and take a leap and so on.
it's also like you just have to accept it. You have to keep on learning forever. That's what life is about for me, at least at this current stage, is that I have to keep learning, and it's fun for me. Like I said before, everything is a puzzle for me, and I have to focus on that puzzle as well. Like I just, for me, if I stop doing that, and if I start watching TV and rotting my brain away, then I will stop being happy. It's as simple as that. My happiness really does depend on me being able to learn forever. And I do think that keeping your brain young is possible, that learning forever is definitely possible if you just put in enough effort, of course. That's very important that you put in enough effort in there. Because like for me, learning is a learning is a process in and of itself. You have to know how to learn as well. Like a lot of people will have their own way of learning. For me, I have to dive straight in, and I have to fail, and I have to fail again. And then I have to get some kind of hint. And then I'm like, oh yeah, of course. But I have to fail often. That's pretty much important for me. Um, I don't know about you, but like we said before, if we're talking about learning stuff, we also have to take into account that we have a certain time in the day that we can learn, and we have to divide that time properly, because if you just go into the if you just go into it straight up, thinking about I'm gonna learn, and I want to learn this and that specific time frame, break it down into manageable pieces, break it down into things that you can estimate, and if you cannot estimate how long something will take, it's not divided enough.
Uh, would you recommend, sorry for interrupting, would you recommend something like a Pomodoro technique where you try to divide everything in, everything which needs to be learned in chunks of, let's say, 25 minutes or so, and try to learn something for 20 or 25 minutes. If you can't keep up your concentration for longer than that, and then take a 10-minute break and then try to learn again, would you recommend that, or have you used it personally, or what do you think about this?
I definitely, for me, I definitely think that. Sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, I was asking about the Pomodoro technique, if you're
Ah,
familiar
yes,
with it.
yes. Sorry. Like, for me, I wouldn't, I am not somebody who can work that way, to be honest, because for me, I think some things have to be together that are more than a few hours. Some things have to be together that are like a day or something like that. But just like some people are a lot better if they do that. If they start dividing up, up in chunks like 25 minutes. For me, it would also take too much time. I also like, for example, if I want to learn cross-site scripting, then I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to write down cross-site scripting. And then I'm going to look for everything that I can on cross-site scripting. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open, for example, Wikipedia here. I'm going to go to the English page, not to the Dutch page, because the English page always has a lot more information. And here I can see non-persistent, persistent, server-side versus DOM, self-XSS, mutated XSS. All of these things, I will write down what they are, but I will go into it from my page here, but not too deeply. I will also look it up, and this will give me like a study guide of things that I have to look into. And I can't exactly say when I will be done with reflected cross-site scripting, but I know I have a guide now. I know what I have to learn, because if you don't have a guide, it's like, okay, you learn something, what do I learn next? I don't know. There's so much to learn. And if you have to look what you will learn every single time that you're done with your current subject, it gets very frustrating very fast. So that's why for me, what I will do is I looked at every single thing here. I look at my preventative measures. I look at the exploit examples, the types of cross-site scripting. And then what I will do is I will go to somebody who I admire very much, Good Logic's website. And Good Logic has a lot of very cool cross-site scripting stuff on his website. I bought his cheat sheet as well. And
Yeah.
I will start looking at different things like, okay, I look at polyglots here. Yeah, very interesting. Let me read that. CSP bypasses. Okay, interesting. Let me read that. But all of these things, I don't have a particular goal in mind of how long I will spend on them, or a time frame either. It's just that I know that I have a study guide. I know what to do next. That's important, because just stepping in the dark is very intimidating, but having a guided path is very easy, or at least a lot easier. That's why I think the live classes are so popular as well. I think everybody can do it for themselves very, very easily, the things that I teach them in the live classes. But having somebody write down a guide for you and having somebody think about the best ways to learn something, what to learn first, what to learn second, what labs you need to include to have people learn it practically as well. All of these things you have to do either for yourself or you have to follow a live class from somebody. And kicking yourself in the butt to get started is also a hard thing. That's why the classes are also so popular, I think. That's
Yeah.
because you just you have to get started. It's like when you do gym classes, and you have a trainer or something like that, or a buddy that goes with you to the gym. That's something that I also advise everybody to do when they're hacking is to get a hacking buddy, somebody is
Yeah.
about your level and who will hack with you. But I say about your level, and I mean that you shouldn't be too far ahead because then you will be dragging them down. But you shouldn't be too far ahead either because then they will be dragging you down. It's the intention that you cheer each other up a little bit.
Yeah. It's like lifting weights, because if you start with someone like a friend and you're committed to going 3 times per week and lift weights together, or I don't know, go to whatever martial art classes and so on, you're much more likely to progress with their help. Yeah, because uh, to do things on your own, yeah, you are able to do that. In my humble opinion, you're much closer to the movie hackers, which can go and do things on their own. But for me, it's quite hard without a structured lesson and so on, because I'm so hectic always. It's pretty hard for me to to keep a consistent goal in mind, and to have a structured approach. And this is why for people like me, it's much better to, I don't know, to follow, for example, your course, and see what are the points and what I should be looking for, because I've seen you have some excellent bug bounty courses. Uh, and yeah, thank you very much for providing this to myself and to the community, because even if you don't know what to search or where to start, and if you, yeah, if you don't know how to formalize this for yourself, if you can find good information, such as your courses, where you have someone explaining to them, the only thing which you need to do, because you've simplified a lot for us the process, is to just go take notes and use whatever information we got from you in a good manner and matter, and start applying those stuff. At this point, I'm still struggling with a lot of CTFs on TryHackMe. And by the way, what do you think about the CTFs for a beginner, if even not necessarily for a bug bounty hunter, but for a beginning when it comes to learning ethical hacking, and learning how to think correctly, how to structure your way of approaching a target? Are you a fan of them or not? Because in one way, to say so, they are pretty unrealistic, because you are definitely searching for some vulnerability. And of course, the scenarios usually are structured like you have an HTTP, not an HTTPS server. You have, let's say, an unpatched Windows 7 or an unpatched Windows 10, not something which is up to date with regards to security and so on. But nevertheless, it is good for them. What do you think? What's your opinion on this?
I'm not against them, definitely not against them. But like you say, sometimes they're quite unrealistic. And what I've been trying to do with my labs is to make them a little bit more realistic. Like Red Side, for example, that's the one that I was talking about, and that's the one that I was building with one of my people that I mentor. This is a pretty decent sized website because here you have the users and you can see all of these are different rights, and there is a vulnerability in here. Like you can see its admin is 0 at this moment, but what I can do is, oh, I don't have the tab open anymore. What I can do is actually change that to true by if I send this request, oh, right. That's that's something I can show you as well. In Firefox, you don't even need to have a man in the middle proxy because you can just open this URL. I have to change my proxy right now because it's still set to Burp Suite or to Zap. So no proxy, there we go. And then we load this again. And as you can see, it will load. So that is my broken access control issue. But now I want to change this, for example, I want to, or let's take somebody who is not administrator. So this guy with the DHM is not administrator at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my network tab and go and change the request for that specific person. And I can see a post request here. And what I can do in Firefox is I can edit and resend that specific one. And here I can just send the admin rights name to true. So on is correct. And then I can send this. And now that's the user should be administrator. So let's go back to the website and let's check out that person with the DH. Where is he? No, it's this guy. So he's administrator now. Even though there's no real
Wow.
way to change it, this is something that you can find in real life as well. It might not be in this way, but it might be in your account settings, for example. And you might not see this admin here. You might see it in the responses somewhere. It might get somewhere in here in the responses instead of just being available like this. By the way, this is the website where we can switch which vulnerabilities are active and which ones are not. Really cool. We just have to change one INI file and we can immediately make it like a new website. And what we want to do is we want to have people log into this website and do a portal. And in the portal, they will set their username via their username and password. And then this will generate an INI file for every user. And basically, you can set your own difficulty, like from 0 to 5 cheeses, where 0 cheeses is very easy and 5 cheeses is very secure. Or you can set every single exploit individually. So that's our plan for red side. And for me, this really helps in learning how vulnerabilities work as well. Because one, we are not just implementing vulnerabilities, we're securing them at the same time, and we might be displaying the security or we might not be displaying the security. So it's another level of learning vulnerabilities, you know?
Thank you very much. I've written this down, and yeah, I'll take a look also at this. And yeah, I've seen that you are playing a lot with in your courses also with burp. Would you recommend a beginner to start from what I've seen? You say it's not really necessary to buy burp suite, you know, paid for professional edition or enterprise edition, but it does help you when you're getting into, let's say, real life, because yeah, I've seen that burp is the meat and potatoes of everything. If you're you know, if you're trying to do this more or less with a financial scope in mind.
Like Burp Suite, Burp Suite Pro is the biggest advantage is that you can save your projects from me, because anything like the intruder I will do with JMeter anyway. If it comes to the extender, authorize is free, so you don't need it for that. So the biggest advantage for me is being able to save, because I'm a dad. I have to be able to jump into it straight away. I don't want 15 minutes of setup time when I only have 2 hours of hacking time. You know, that's a big chunk of my hacking time then. So I always have to have something which I can save. But if I don't have Burp Suite Pro, I will just use OWASP Zap. Like I've been showing right now, Zap is very user friendly as well. It's not that hard. And I also, you can use Postman for certain things as well. It's all possible. So, and the cool thing about all of this in Postman is that I can save it as well. And I don't have to pay for anything. Oh, question mark ID equals 2. So let's try it. I don't have to save any, I don't have to pay anything. And the good thing about Postman then as well is that I can put things into a monitor. So I see forward to forbidden, and I can very easily change my request methods to actually try it. And that will get rid of my forward to forbidden. So changing the request method is something you should definitely try. So for me, Burp Suite Pro, it's an iffy situation, you know. If you run into the limits of Burp Suite 3 often, then you might consider it. But it's a big chunk of money for some people. That's also something you have to consider.
Yeah, it's $400 or euros. I think for a year for the license. Yeah. But thank you for the advices with regards to Postman and Zap. Yeah.
My pleasure. I hope it helps. If you have any other
So
questions, feel free to ask them, by the way.
well, yeah, a ton of stuff, but not this hour because my brain is starting to fade away a little bit. But you know, I think the advice is to keep trying and keep learning, even if you're not trying harder, as is the motto for the OSCP. But you have to be able to always learn, right? To always strive to get a little bit more more informed and to be more in depth with a certain subject and to keep up with the new techniques and so on, because there are a ton of things which have changed and that are always changing, I think. And yeah, the good thing is that you never get bored with this, right? I mean, some new stuff always comes up, like I don't know, with the log4j vulnerability or the new pawn kit stuff, and it's you always find something to discover, something else, something new.
For sure. I'm currently writing an article about the top 25 hacks, about the top 5 hacks of 2021, like the Twitch hacks as well. Do you remember when Twitch got hacked and leaked so many information about the streamers, like how much they earned and all of that stuff? It's
Yeah,
crazy. We need a
yeah.
lot of cybersecurity experts. We need a lot of cybersecurity experts, guys. So if you're interested, definitely uh, talk to people. And if you can't pay for my courses, send me an email to info@thexssrat.com. I will look you up. I think it's important that everybody at least has a chance for education. Um, Anyway,
Well,
I'm also going to bed. I think I'm also getting a bit tired, so I think I might be going to bed tomorrow. I have to bring the kid to school again, so I have to get
yeah,
up at a decent hour.
I have a guest, so I'll have to get back to my friend also. Thank you wholeheartedly for the great for the great amount of information you provided me with, and everyone you provided us with. And yeah, I really do hope that you take a little bit of your time and speak to the students. I will definitely contact you, at least via, I don't know, a DM or on Twitter and so on, for a meeting after I speak with the teacher in charge of them. And yeah, I really do hope that I've I've asked some not really dumb questions, and yeah, that my English wasn't shit. And maybe you have a little bit of time for me in a month or two, and I'll tell you what I got from here. And yeah, I look forward to hearing you again. And thank you very much for your time. Sorry, those are my cats in the background making the noise.
Not a
Sorry.
problem at all. Thanks a lot for your time as well. I really appreciate it. This will be on YouTube, by the way, so definitely if
Thank you
you're
very much. Oh man, my voice is so okay. Okay, no
don't
issue. Thank
worry
you.
about it. Don't worry about it. You are perfectly understandable.
Thank
All
you very
right.
much.
Thanks a lot. And
Okay.
thanks everybody on YouTube for watching as well, especially if you've been watching this long. We really appreciate it. And we would like to say, have a good evening, have a good day, have a good whatever you're having ahead of you. I hope you have a good one. Bye, amazing hackers.
Thank you everyone, and thank you for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks.
again. Bye.